Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a very simple coat hook or jacket hook that you can put by a front door. Since this is a fairly basic and beginner project, you can sell these for right around $25 to $30 depending on your location. You can get away with a little bit less in some locations and a little bit more in other locations. Again, it just kind of depends on where you're selling these at. If you're selling them online with commission fees and things like that that you have to pay to the platform, I would suggest to hover on the $30 to maybe $40 range for these coat hooks. If you're selling at a local fair, you can do it around the $15 to $25 range and be just fine. So we're working with a 10-inch piece of half-inch round stock or 250 mil by 12.5 mil round stock. We're going to go over the edge of the anvil and we're going to upset the end of this bar as we roll the piece. What this is going to do for us is this is going to provide for us, I'm hammering at a slight tangent to the bar stock. What this is going to do is this is going to actually make ourselves like a little bit of like a spear-headed top that'll look very attractive. It's not just an end or a raw end. Of course you could leave it. We're not trying to go real fancy here. We're just trying to get some forging dimension right on the end of this piece. So use your imagination. Again, we're just trying to get a bit of a pyramid-shaped look started. Just to provide a little bit of texture and make that end look a little nicer, a little more complete on the end, versus it just being a raw piece of stock. So we're going to go ahead and heat that up one more time. I'll do one more heat on that. If this takes you a few heats, that's okay. You know, just take your time with it. Big thing here, don't get in a rush. So we'll go ahead and get this hot one more time. I'll go ahead and get that end upset a bit. And then once that end is done, we'll let that cool ever so slightly, flip it around, and we'll do the opposite end exactly the same. So that's good enough for me. So all I'm looking here for is just a nice even top. And you can always clean this up later with a little bit of sandpaper or belt grinder for a finish. Some people call this we'll call this a mushroom as well. Spear point. There's a lot of different names for it. China cap, which that's a bit. Watch where you use that lingo at. Some people may find that a bit offensive if you call it a China cap. It's kind of like one of those old Chinese movies that you'd see. Or like we called them in the trade, that was usually a vent top. A vent top. So you can call it whatever you want. I just like to call it a spear point. So now we're going to go ahead and flip that around, and we'll do the same thing to the other side. I'll get that hot, and we'll do that process again. I'll be right back with you here in just a second. So once you have both ends done, now what we're going to do is we're going to come in not just center, but we need to take and create two places where we can mount our screws. We don't want this thing to swivel on just one screw, so we need two screws to go in this. But we don't want it to be dead center of the bar because one needs to come over more while the other one just needs to hook up. So in order to take and do that, we need to take and make sure that we go off more to one side than the other. So don't try to aim for perfectly center on these. We're going to start with the back end of a ball peen hammer using a soft face hammer like this. This is just a chunk of mild steel. We're going to hammer against this face. Do not hammer two high carbon steel faces together. So we're going to use this as a bit of a ball fuller on this round piece now. You want to be careful not to mess up your anvil face. So we're going to start down to the lower end that I plan on going, maybe somewhere right about there. And I'm going to start hitting on it. And you'll start producing a bit of a bulge. That's what we want. And then we'll come up from it just ever so slightly and do the same thing. It'll produce that little bit of a pocket there. Go back to the first one. And there we go. So we've got those two marks there. We'll go ahead and straighten this up and try to put all this in line. You want to be careful hitting on it too much at this point. And there we go. So we've got our two parts right there. Now we're going to go ahead and punch these. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my punch. I've got a 1/4 inch punch here, or 6 mil punch. And I'm going to aim for the center of this, and I'm going to lay these out cold so I can come back and find this when it's hot. Nice and easy like. So while the bar's cold, that's a good time to lay in these little punch marks. So this way your punch naturally finds them once the bar is hot. So let's go ahead and get that good and heated back up. Bring it up to a really nice good heat. If you leave your tongs on your piece, you need to keep your tong jaws cool. So have yourself a wet rag or something like that to wrap around the tongs handles. Otherwise that heat can travel up the tongs and it can ruin the adjustment of your jaws. So be careful on that. We're going to bring this up to a good fine heat, and then we will punch it. While we're waiting for this to get up to temperature in order to be punched, I just want to thank you for joining me today. If you've made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate it. You could just say coat hooks are cool, or something of that neighborhood. Just make a mention of a coat in your comment. There we go. That's the secret passphrase on this video. How's that sound? Again, I just thank you all for being here. It does mean a lot for me. Your watch time really helps this channel grow by watching these videos all the way through. And so Jessica and I greatly appreciate you all, each and every last one of you. Thank you so much for being part of the channel. You all are awesome. So usually I wait for this to cool just a bit more before I do any sort of back punching operation. I'd really like it to be down towards a dull red heat before I back punch it. So this way the plugs will actually shear out like they're supposed to. Just like that one did. And just like that one did. So if you just wait just a little bit, the slugs just punch right out of there. Now that'll give that a nice look. Now that we have that done, get rid of those plugs off the anvil. Now we're going to go ahead and bend this up. So I'll heat this section up and we'll bend it first. And now we're just going to pretend that that's going to be the bottom hook. And the reason why that needs to be the bottom hook is because we went more to that end. So there's less material there to bend around, so it's fine for that to be the bottom hook. And then the upper hook will be the portion that'll be the little more tricky thing. But again, this is a pretty simple process to do. Once you've upset it, you guys seen about the amount of time this takes. It takes longer to talk you through than it does to demonstrate it. And if you were doing this in a production-like setting, you might have maybe 2 rods in the fire at once working on these things. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that hook in nice and hot. And I'll be right back with you as we bend it around the horn of the anvil. Okay, this bit's good and hot. I'm gonna cool off the area that I don't want to mess up, our little detail piece. And I'm gonna bend this thing right around the horn of the anvil if I can. So watch that hole that you've punched through. And keep it straight against the wall. Make sure she's squared up with the piece. That looks pretty good there. Good to go. Go ahead and brush it off. All right, so there's the lower hook. And now it's time to take and bend the hat hook portion of it. So the lower hook would be used to hold a coat. The other hook is going to be used to hold a hat. So we'll go ahead and heat up that longer section and bend it now. So this piece is back up to heat now. Now we're going to go ahead and start by bending down here real close to the mounting location of the holes. We're going to bend that forward. And then we don't want that to stay like that. We want to give it a slight bend back. And we might give it a little more bend forward. But again, make sure your mounting holes stay nice and flush to the wall, or what will be to the wall space. Now just after a little bit of tweaking and finessing to get this square, you'll have it all together for you. I'll have to do just a little bit more playing with it. But there you have it. You can get that. Again, that'll get that nice and done, and there you have it. A simple coat hook. So you've got your 2 finials. You could go with ball ends on these. I'd clean these up. I'd sand these up real good and you know, make them really shine, be polished out, while the rest of the hook kind of stays kind of dark. I think that would be really attractive. And then coat it with a little bit of linseed oil. Do a linseed oil finish on it probably, is what I would say. Would look pretty darn good if you were to ask me. So I've got a little bit more tweaking on this. It's got a bit of a twist right here on this end. That's nothing more than heating the piece up and just giving it a little tweak like that with the tongs. But other than that, that hook is done. So that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to leave a like and comment what you thought of it down below. And as always, God bless you. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.